Hey, look at that. It says we're live. All right. So, hey, Gary, this is the first time we've met.
Yeah, yeah. First time.
Yeah. And this is your podcast debut.
It is, it is. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, I hope.
Well, I mean, you're part of this community. You know, you
Yeah.
don't make podcasts, but you're very much part of this community. Well, okay, actually, you know what? Let's start by introducing what's going on real quick, and then we'll go off whatever deep end it takes us off.
Okay.
So for all you that are listening for the very first time, this is We Play Indie, the podcast. We'll mostly just refer to as We Play Indie, a show that I started because I want to play more indie games and I want to meet more people in the community. These are other podcasters, content creators, and you, the listener, are also just part of this community. So with me today for my inaugural episode of this, someone you might know from the Broken Block, and oh man, you've probably seen his artwork on some of the other shows if you watch them, because if you watching this or listening to this, you probably found out this from one of the other shows that he has done artwork for, Mr. Gary Gray.
Hey, yeah, how's it going?
So so the purpose of this is to talk about some indie games, one in particular that we'll get into today that you suggested to me. But first, no one knows who you are. I mean, they know you through Twitter. They might know you through the Broken Block, but I don't think anyone knows who you are because you haven't been on any podcasts.
No, no, I've just been lurking in the shadows for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that. On the Nintendo Dads Hangout, where we've seen each other a little bit, like the lighting that you had in the room, you were literally lurking in a shadow on my
Yeah,
screen.
I've literally just changed the bulb just for this today. It's pitch
uh
black outside, totally black outside. It went dark at about 4:30, so yeah, I'm living my life in darkness in the real world as well.
oh, very very nice. Very nice. Okay, so I want to start with a couple questions for you. It's kind of like, for me and you to get to know each other, because the last what 2 or 3 weeks we've been going back and forth on Twitter quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But we never really got to know each other. So I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, do you remember our very first interaction we ever had? And if there's one earlier than this, I'll be dumbfounded. But the very first interaction, and I don't even know if you realize you're interacting with me at the time.
I'm gonna guess it would have been with the Nintendo Dads Hangout. I'm gonna say.
So it was actually before that.
Oh,
Do
then
you
no.
remember? Do you remember during the Extra Lifetime period, you
Oh
got
yeah.
on and you played Mario Kart with like Sean Capri and Bobby Pauls?
I didn't just play Mario Kart. I owned at Mario Kart as well.
Okay. So while you were up at the very front of that race, I was the back of the race, hoping I would beat anybody at all.
Oh yeah, that's probably why I don't remember. I was too busy way up there.
Because you never saw my name fly past you.
It was different weather where I was.
Is that what the thing is?
Yeah, yeah.
So okay. So my next question, something I have to know. Your name that pops up is it Gacho?
Gacho, yeah. It's
What
been
is
my
that?
it's been my gamer tag forever. Really, it annoys me when it's taken on something because I'm normally straight on Twitter, get Gacho, straight on YouTube, anything. It's just Gacho was a nickname I had when I was younger, and the zero is just because hey, the internet, the first name's already taken, so you either put a zero or a one on the end of it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to say with my gamer tags and stuff with Johnny Casino, a lot of times I have to put a zero at the end of it. So,
Hmm.
um, okay. What else? Because you haven't been on anything, because you haven't had these times to talk, just about who you are. Is there anything else major people should just know about you before we dive into the show?
Um, no, I don't really think so. I mean, I just do my animations through my YouTube channel, and I've done a few things for other channels, but nothing else really. No, don't think so.
So the YouTube channel he's talking about is the Broken Block, and today you posted. Oh, now I forgot the name of it. It's the Goblin that's all mean and says terrible things.
Yeah, the Honest Goblin. Yeah,
Yeah, that had me like I was on a walk with my dogs, and so I put it on as I was walking with them, and I was like laughing as I was walking down the road, and people were giving me really funny looks. But that was great. That was absolutely fantastic.
I'm aiming for more dislikes than the Federation Force trailer for that with that one, but
Well, I don't think you'll get it. I think you'll actually get a number of likes. I know I shared that. So if you're listening to this, you haven't seen it, go to the Broken Block channel, check that out. Okay, let's let's get into the show. We're not going to have like a solid format to this. I mean, I've got some stuff I want to try to touch on. I attempted to take a couple notes. We have one game specifically that we're going to talk about, but wherever this conversation goes, however far off the rails, whatever topic we get into, it doesn't matter. We'll talk until we're both ready to be done talking, and then we'll cut it off, and that'll be the show. Sound good?
sounds brilliant.
Awesome. I'm excited. So when I put this out, you were one of the first people to respond to me, and your idea was to check out Electronic Superjoy. I looked it up. One, I looked at the price because that's always a concern when trying to play as many games as possible. I looked at a short video, and I was sold. So here in a second, let's get into diving into Electronic Superjoy, and here is just a little intro to it.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
The beat's coming. All right. I wanted to put that in at the beginning because that is initially what sold me on this game.
Yeah, exactly the same for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you made the recommendation, and I heard that, and I was like, okay, I'm in. I don't care what the game is. That's the music behind it. I'm in. So, what drove you to play this game the very first time? So you obviously played it a while back, right?
I played it maybe midway through last year or towards the end, I think. I'd heard of it long before then, but because it had a Steam release, but I've got probably one of the world's slowest laptops running Windows 10 at the minute. So it was out of the question for me to play it on there. And at the moment, I only have Nintendo consoles. I'm not really the full-on Nintendo guy, but I've got a family and not much time anymore, so I've only got Nintendo stuff. And
that's a great console to have.
Yeah, I never thought I'd see the light of day for this game coming out on the Wii U, but it eventually did. I came across it really just browsing what was new on the eShop. Wanted to try something different, and same as you, it's the music totally sold me on it.
Yeah, that music is so, and it goes throughout the whole game.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and the songs change, but it's just a continuous track, and I don't know. Call me lame or something. I love house music. Like I don't sit there and drive around listening to it or anything like that, but I just love having that hard beat house music every once in a while. And my son would start dancing to it while I was playing it. So we'll let you start off this with what are you kind of for the listener, help describe a little bit about what this game is.
It's a really pretty looking music driven torture game.
Now, did you realize it was going to be a torture game when you started it?
I had a feeling, but not quite as bad as it was.
Okay.
And it's got it's one of those games that just for some reason, just the look of it as well, having the silhouetted front foregrounds in the 8-bit sort of style with the it's got quite a modern background to it, which is quite artistic. Just I don't know, just something about it just sort of dragged me right into there. But it's it's definitely a torture game. You're not gonna really survive it.
It's true. I mean, it is a torture game. And like you said, it is 8-bit, but yet gorgeous. If I remember correctly, your guy is just like a black 8-bit outline, right?
Yeah, with no but, as the intro states as well.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so let's talk about how this game begins, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. There's not really like spoilers for this game, correct?
No, I wouldn't say so. No. No.
Okay, so we don't have to be too careful about what we say. So this game starts off, and I think I missed a couple lines of the narrative. I mean, what was the story? I use the line story loosely, but there's kind of a story to it, right?
Yeah, I think the story really isn't so much there as a driving point for the rest of the game. I think it's literally just there to make you smile a little bit before you get into the game. Because it talks about losing limbs at the beginning, but as soon as you start the game, there's limbs flying all over the place, or from what you can see anyway.
Yes, but as you pointed out, no butt.
Yeah, no, but no.
And you told me whenever we were talking about this, you had mentioned that the Wii U version, that's how I played it as well.
Yeah.
But the Wii U version is more tame than the other
Yeah,
ones. I mean, go ahead. What's the difference that you've seen?
I've seen other versions on the internet. After I watched the original trailer that I came across, I looked to see if there's any Let's Players play it, and Jack Spectacle, is it his name? Something like that, the Irish guy. Well, he played it anyway, and I think he was playing the Steam version or maybe the Xbox version. I have no idea. The checkpoints are very. There's some very questionable noises come from them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd say sort of very late night noises, and there's some extra swearing in the dialogue and a bit more blasphemy than normal, I think.
Okay.
But you expect everything to be toned down, just down to 2 when you're playing a Nintendo console. But I don't think it really took much away from the game at all, really.
No, I don't think it did either. I mean, at the beginning they tell you that someone stole your butt. And I guess the point of the game is to go get it back. I mean, did you make it to the end of this game?
I totally finished it.
Okay, do you get your butt back at the end of the game?
From what I can remember, no.
Okay. Okay. Well, that makes it awkward for the rest of his life.
I tried to make it to the end again over the weekend before this podcast, but I know this is going to sound weird, but I just about took out the Pope.
We're going to talk about that fight in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, okay. So something I really liked about this game is you start off and there's these little figures standing around, and as you get close to them, like a little text bubble will pop up, and someone would just say kind of funny things, and some of them seem like they're kind of telling you ways to play the game. And I thought that was just like a really interesting way to kind of introduce someone to the game.
Yeah, they some of the dialogue lines they go past without you even getting a chance to see them, but they're pretty funny a lot of the time. And it's I always like it when a game like that doesn't hold your hand but still tells you the controls.
Yes,
because I feel there is a fair few indie games out there where you sit down to play it, and unless you pause it and go to a controls menu, then you'd never get told anything. So I think it's always good to have the characters and stuff and tell you the controls as you go along, I think.
Yeah, and it was just kind of a funny way to do it,
Yeah.
Without, like I said, without taking away from the game, without you having to like stop and you just kind of read it as you go past, and you learn. And the controls were simple. I mean, you basically had move and jump, and then depending on what level you were on, you'd get something special.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I only know what 2 of those special things are, because this is my confession to you, Gary. I cannot tell you how much time I put in this game. It was a decent bit. I made it about 2.5 worlds in, and it's 4 worlds long, right?
Yeah. Well, I think part of my the reason for me picking it was to torture you a little bit, John, as well.
You know what? And I'm good with that. Like, this is a game. Had I not been given a recommendation to play it, I probably would have just skipped right past it. I'm sure I've skipped right past it in the past many times.
Oh, I'm sure most people out there have skipped past it, yeah.
But it's so good. It's so good. So it starts off, I had a lot of fun. You're just kind of running and you're jumping, and it's some pretty solid platforming.
Yeah, it's sort of really Twitch based. You got to be exact. You make a slightest little mistake, and that's it. You're done.
Yeah. Did you ever play Oh God, Mutant Muds or Mutant Mud Super Challenge.
Yeah, I tried Super Challenge. I went past the original, went straight for the Super Challenge.
That's exactly what I did. It's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what I did. How far into that did you get? Do you remember
Um,
any idea?
uh, I can't really remember, to be honest. I started it, and then because I had no idea about Mutant Woods when I came across that, and I got it. I got the demo first through the Nindies
Yeah.
thing that Nintendo did, one E3, and I had the intention of going back to buy the original one first, and then to play them in order. Because if I played the Super Challenge and then went back to the other one, I'd feel like I was playing a Hello Kitty game.
I still don't know if it quite feel like a Hello Kitty game, but yes, it will be easier.
Yeah, you know what? It's the same with the Mario games. Once you've done lost levels, they're all so easy after that.
Now, let me ask you, how many Hello Kitty games have you actually played?
No, I can't confess this. Not on air.
Well, I know you have a daughter. I didn't know. I mean, it gave you an excuse. You could have been like, "Oh, my daughter made me play them." Who knows?
No, I've played one once, and that no.
The reason I brought up Mutant Muds is because it it they're very different games, but
Yeah,
the way you keep dying by just not being perfect really
yeah,
is what kind of connects these two together.
yeah, and they both have death counters as well.
They do, and my death counter on Mutant Muds is really high.
Yeah,
And the thing about that though is in Mutant Muds it gives you like a total death counter. On this one, it just tells you how many deaths or how many times you died doing each level. I don't think it gives you like a full death counter, does it?
I don't think it does. Maybe it gave you one on the end credits, but I can't quite remember. I can't.
Oh, that just requires you to make it to the end credits.
Yeah, which is a feat in itself.
And the reason I only made it 2.5 worlds in is not because I didn't put enough time into it. It's not that I played for 10 minutes and stopped. No, I put some time into this game. So as you go along, you're making the jumps. Let's talk about some of these special powers because there's some special powers that you know about that I don't.
Yeah,
The first one is where you can do like the slam jump.
yeah, which is a brilliant mechanic in itself. Not many games do anything like that, really.
Yeah, it's kind of like a super version of Mario's butt bounce thing, right?
Yeah,
Like a super version of it.
yeah. So
It's
mid jump as well. You can use it to, as soon as you press that button, you go straight down vertically. So you have to use it just in the general platforming as well as killing enemies. So that's quite clever, I think.
what it took me a while to figure out was that you could do the butt bounce slam thing, whatever it's called, and then immediately hit the jump button and you jump right back up again.
Yeah,
And it took me, I don't know, it took me a couple hours to realize I could do that. And the issue is, so this is used to kill bad guys, to kill whatever the enemies are. I feel weird calling them bad guys. To kill the enemy, but also these missiles that chase you around. And if you don't do it right, you'll bounce on one because you have to, and then another one will be just slightly behind it and will nail you as soon as you do the bounce on the first. So to be
Yeah.
able to do that bounce jump thing, it's very helpful. Now here's the issue. My hands have slowed down over age, maybe. I don't know. Do you have this issue? I don't know how old you are either, but
I think my issue is I drink too much coffee. So holding a controller steady is quite hard after your 7th cup.
Do you drink coffee at nighttime? Are you drinking coffee right now?
No, it's tea. But
okay.
I drink.
Yeah, I did see you say that.
I drink a lot of coffee because I sacrifice sleep for everything else.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Now you're drinking tea right now, and you're in England.
Yeah.
Are you drinking it because you're British? Is that the whole thing? Like you have to drink that? Does the Queen say you need to be drinking that right now?
Yeah, it's in Article 47B of the law that everybody must drink tea with at least 1 cup every 2 hours. Yeah, it's definitely in there. Yeah.
Do you have any biscuits or crumpets or biscuits, right?
Yeah,
or
I
small
don't.
sandwiches?
I've got a young daughter who takes care of all of those for me.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, so you have like a 2-year-old daughter, right?
Yeah,
Awesome. Does she sit there and watch you play these games?
yeah. I try. I sit her down sometimes with the NES Classic and let her have a little go with the controller.
Is
But
her controller plugged in?
it is, yeah. She's quite gentle, really. You show her the jump button and she knows exactly what it is, so she's happy just sitting there pressing a jump button.
Oh, okay, that's good. Which I mean, wouldn't work very well for this specific game, but for many of the older ones, you can have at least a few minutes of fun time.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so through the first level of this game, you have this butt slam mechanic,
Yeah.
right? And you get towards the end of it, and is it 2 or 3 levels that have the Pope?
Yeah, I think it's the end of the first world, maybe.
But there's
Maybe
at
second.
least 2 levels. Like I think there's one where you see the Pope to begin with, and
Yeah.
then there's a vertical level that has the Pope. You have to like make it to the top,
Yeah.
and then there's the level you fight the Pope.
Yeah.
Both of those levels, I think one of those levels, I don't remember which one of the two it was. So a lot of times when I'm playing these games, I'll be on like the elliptical, right? Because the amount of beer I drink because I make it, I have to also work off. And so I'm on the elliptical and I'll do, I don't know, half an hour at a time. I know I'm not that macho. So I was playing 35 minutes or 36 minutes with the warm up and cool down. I played that same level for 36 minutes straight.
Yeah, there's a few
And
levels
still
in
didn't
there.
beat it.
Yeah, there's a fair few levels that you're going to do that with on this game. There's a. I'm not going to go too much into it now, but there's definitely one level at the end of it which took me a couple of days.
Oh, geez. But you stuck it out.
Yeah, I've got a grey patch in my beard now from it as well. I was totally one colour before this game came along.
do you feel like a need to beat a game like that when you have it?
Yeah.
Or is it just
I'm a completionist in that respect. I don't normally 100% games, but I have to finish the main story, especially if something's owning me. I've got to get past it.
What has been your biggest nightmare of a game that has owned you and you've just fought and fought and fought to make sure you complete it?
Oh, the Hello Kitty game. I mean, no, it would be. It's got to be Lost Levels. It's got to be Lost Levels.
I own that because I have it on the that Super Mario All Stars for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I think that's got Lost Levels on there. I don't think I've ever played the Lost Levels. Do I need to go back and do that?
I'd say no, because unless you really like hard games, then no, I don't think so. It depends how much more of the first Mario you want and how much more of a challenge you want on it as well.
Okay, so it's basically the first Mario, just more difficult.
Just ramped up to the max, yeah.
Okay, I can avoid that and just try to finally beat Mario 2 that I've been working on for a while. I've never beaten Mario 2. I've played that since I was a kid. I have never beaten that game. I'm sorry, Nintendo dads, the Retro Rewind. I did not complete it last month.
Don't worry, I'm still on Mega Man 2. But I've finished all the Marios except for Mario Galaxy 2, which, again, I'm going to get, a few people angry at that one. How can you not finish the best Mario Galaxy game? Right. I'm going to say it now. I do not like Yoshi in that game.
I like that Yoshi's there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care. I mean, you have to use him. Like, it's part of the levels that require you to use him. Now, did you listen to, I think it came out this morning for us, it would have been this afternoon for you, but the latest Shelved and Forgotten, that's actually the game that I was playing.
Oh, no,
I've Galaxy 2.
I've literally just ran back from work, jumped in a bath, jumped out, cup of tea on the show. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. No.
Well, yeah, that's the game that I started playing, and I will work through. I need to work through that, and I need to work through Mario 64 because I've never beaten that. I need to do that before, I guess, holidays season this year when the new Mario comes out.
Oh, I've got to say, I'm really shocked at that one. It's a must must finish game, I'd say. You know, it's definitely not aged well though. Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind the graphics, but the
It's the
controls.
controls. Yeah, it's the camera mainly.
Okay, so I know we're off on a complete tangent here, which is good. Okay, so you're obviously a Mario fan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the new one coming out?
Well, you see, this gets into a bit of a tangent in itself because I'm from England, so that means classically we were all Sega. So yeah, yeah. That's for Bobby as well. Yeah, he loves Sonic.
Does he?
So, yeah, definitely not. No.
Then I'll see that.
he's probably gonna private message me after he listens to this, having a go at me. But yeah, as you know, Toby's his co-host on the Geekcast, and he's from England. He's another Sonic fan, so it seems to be a thing that we've got in common. Being from England, is everybody seems to go for Sonic and the Mega Drive over Nintendo.
Weird.
And up till really, you know, when Sega started ruining everything, as they classically do, and from the opening sequence of that footage, I just thought of the opening sequence from Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast, which is a city focusing on the drain cover, and then the drain cover explodes, and surely enough, instead of water, it was Mario. So I was a little bit confused at first, but as soon as you got past that whole Sonic 06 joke at the beginning, the rest of the game looks brilliant. Kazooie eyes came out the hat as well, which is just a Japanese thing, I think, that they always do something kind of a bit, you know.
Now let me ask you the pressing question, and it kind of goes along with this. Mario Galaxy or Mario Sunshine?
Sunshine.
Yes.
Did you see that? That was so calm and straight out then, because it's no competition, it's Sunshine.
Oh my God. I knew there was a reason we've been in contact for a while.
Yeah, this is it.
It's all about this right here. This and some unpopular opinions.
A lot of unpopular opinions.
So do I. Unpopular opinions, like when they're genuine, are some of my favorite things. It's you against the world, and you just fight for everything you believe.
Federation Force is good. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that one.
Do you like that game?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I don't see why any Metroid fan shouldn't like it. In all fairness,
I mean, I think it's just like a bitterness between what they wanted and what they got. Like, not that it's bad, but it's just not what they wanted.
I'm holding back an unpopular opinion right now, and I really don't think I should say it.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Give it to me.
Nintendo fans can be the worst people on the planet.
Oh, some of them, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
As a collective, because if Federation Force came out directly after a Metroid, there would have been no hate. Everybody would have been fine. We'd have liked it. I mean, I played Federation Force and I played Triforce Heroes. And Triforce Heroes was such a bad game compared to Federation Force. Yeah, it was Federation Force that took the slack.
Okay, but I mean, Triforce Heroes took a lot of slack too. But did you not like Triforce Heroes?
Oh, you know, the online setup, the one-player setup, it was all. I mean, the actual game itself, when it was running, and you had people there that were not idiots and not trolls. It was a good game, but the amount of times that you get to the end of the level, and then someone would refuse to step on their panel and end the level, was so frustrating.
Okay, because I've only played it one player. I actually own the game. I've only played it single player. I actually enjoy it. I mean, it's kind of a pain having to switch between all the people. I would love to get on Skype with 2 other people and play the game. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got its own problems, and kind of didn't learn from the past games as well, because they had a really good one-player mode with the Four Swords Adventures on the GameCube, where you could control all the people on the screen, or all 4 links, and put them into set formations, or have them follow you, or switch between them. And then they just totally ruined it with the the doubles, are they called, or something like that? The little wooden
Oh,
links.
the doppelganger. Was it? No, I don't remember what they call them.
Doppellinks. We'll just call them doppellinks.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was good.
So
That was good.
yeah, so back to Electronic Superjoy in this unpopular opinions thing.
Yeah.
Is
I love unpopular opinions.
You know, I think that hard games get a bit of stick at the minute, but if it's an indie game, there's a bit more leeway, and I kind of feel that this was a little bit too hard, for sure.
You know, it really depends on how you look at that.
Yeah,
For me, a game, it's all about, do I think I got my value out of the game? You know, if this was a $20 game, yes, I would say it's too hard, because I would have not have gotten far enough in the game to feel I got my $20 worth, maybe. But I got the game for like $4.
yeah.
And I want to say full price was like $7. Excuse me, I definitely got, you know, a $4 or $7 value out of this game. You know, I put plenty of time in. I enjoyed my time. Even when I was frustrated and driving and knew that I had to go back to it to try to get just a little bit further so I could sound a little bit better on the show. It was enjoyable. So I mean, yes, it was insanely hard. And it ramped up pretty quick. But I wouldn't say it's too hard, just because I still got my value out of it.
Yeah. Well, this is connected to that. There's a sequel, which isn't on the Wii U at the minute. I doubt it ever will be now. I'm holding out hope that it'll come to something else in the future, but at the moment, I think it's only on Steam, which is called Electronic Superjoy Groove City. And apparently, it's just the hardest. It is the lost levels of Electronic Superjoy.
Now, if it was on the Wii U and you had time, would you try to conquer that one?
Yes, hands down, yes.
Because you love this one so much, or because you want the challenge?
Because I'm a sucker for punishment, I think.
Okay. Okay. If you're a sucker for punishment, man, you need to jump into that Mutant Mud Super Challenge.
Yeah, and Battletoads, which is supposed to be the
Oh
ultimate.
God. I played Battletoads so much when I was a kid, and I've gone back to it because I have it on the Rare Replay on the Xbox One. And I've gone back to it, and I still love it. I can't get 3 or 4 levels in or whatever it is, but I still love it.
Yeah.
And I'll play like on the Super Nintendo, I'll play the Super Battletoads and Double Dragons. It's a little bit easier, but it's still an insanely hard game.
So how do you feel about the difficulty of Battletoads? Is difficulty something that sort of drives you with games as well, or do you just prefer them a little bit easier?
So, oh man, that's a tough question to answer. Okay, you've probably heard me say this, but I suck at video games. I love them. They're my escape. I love talking about them, but I suck at them. So I enjoy a tough game. I enjoy trying it out and trying to take on the challenge. That being said, if it's a game I really want to get through to experience the game, I don't want it that hard. Like, I don't want it to be Hello Kitty like you like to play, but but I do want it to be something that I can go through and only die at a minimal amount of time, you know? And like, there's been some games that I just wanted to finish just to experience the end of it. And I've actually kicked it down to easy just so I could get through it to see how it all ends.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things in the game really is an option for an easy or normal hard. But in these sort of Twitch-based platformers, it's almost impossible to do. I mean, if you had an easy setting on Electronic Superjoy, they would have to change the levels by putting extra platforms in, because that is the difficulty with this game. It's not so much a bad guys. Okay, the missiles, yeah, definitely, they're definitely the hard point, but there's no real way they could do it. And I kind of wish in the future they would make one that's accessible for people, you know, to get people in on that step and then work their way up.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing with these platformers, is that there are going to be these super hard games. Now,
Yeah.
one that's a little bit different that I thought was a really solid platformer is called The Adventures of Pip. Have you played this one?
I haven't, no.
So if you're looking for a platformer on the Wii U, Adventures of Pip, it's out there. It's the story is you're a 1-bit character, and you eventually get a power to turn into like a 8-bit character, and then eventually you get turned to a 16 or 32. I don't remember which one it is. And you can go back and forth between the two with different mechanics, but a lot of it's platforming. A lot of it's making the jump, dodging the bad guy, slamming the bad guy, depending on what character you're being at that time. But it's a solid platformer. It's difficult, but not in a way that'll drive people away. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, the story's, I don't know, the story's mediocre at best, I guess, but it's just a good, solid platformer.
Yeah, I think you touched on something that's important there as well. Really, with your platformers, the stories don't really matter so much. You know, with these indie 2D platforming games.
So are you saying that it doesn't matter if you go save the princess? The princess at the end of the castle just doesn't matter?
Right, I just got to throw this spoiler alert for everybody on the internet right now. The princess goes missing again in every single game.
Okay, we have to get back to what you were about to say because I know I cut you off, but I got to ask you this. What the hell is up with the princess loving cake and always being taken by Bowser because of cake?
Oh, I think that's the reason for Mario to run. He loves cake.
Oh.
Without the cake, those games, they just don't exist. They don't exist. I mean, if Princess Peach wrote in that letter and said, "Hi, Mario, I've been kidnapped. By the way, I've sat down watching trash TV today. Didn't have time to bake a cake. Please help." He'll probably go, "No, you know what? I'm going to go to the pub, have a few beers. It's not worth it anymore."
The whole game is just Mario and Toad sitting there pouring a few back and talking about the good days of saving the princess because of cake.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Oh, that stupid princess. Okay, so what we're saying is that with these 2D indie platformers, they don't really require a story.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the best part of the indie games is you get thrown straight in. You know, you can literally press the A button or the X button or whatever button it is on whatever you're playing, and you are straight in there. And that's something that I think a lot of modern games definitely don't have. And I think that's why the indie scene at the minute is getting a bit higher. You know, it's getting on people's radars more. Is because you don't have to be tied down with an hour, 2 hour session just to play one level, but so much story at the same time. I mean, that also tied in with Electronic Superjoy. At the same time, I'm playing Xenoblade on the Wii Virtual Console, on the Wii U Virtual Console, the Wii version.
Yeah.
And the reason why I finished Electronic Superjoy so fast is because Xenoblade, every time I hover over the icon, I think, all right, I better make sure I've been to the toilet, got a drink, got my TV dinner ready, because the cutscene that starts the game off is going to be about 3 hours long. And then I'm going to walk for half an hour after an arrow, and then I'm going to have another cutscene that's another half an hour long. So yeah, let's just go through my diary and cross everything off for the next week because there's a cutscene coming up. Well, with Electronic Superjoy, so hovering over that icon, I'm like, well, I brought Electronic Superjoy at the same time, so yeah, just play that instead, you know.
Yeah, there are those times you're like, man, I really want to play this game, or I need to play this game. You know, for me, with the different shows that I do, I've got games I need to try to get to. But sometimes I'm just like, man, I don't want to dive into that right now. This other thing's simple and easy, and I can just be mindless. Well, okay, Electronic Superjoy, you can't really be mindless while playing it because you will just fall into a hole over and over again. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I think that when you go mindless on this game, it's crazy because you actually don't get anywhere at all when you're mindless. It's one of those that you have to turn off, turn back on the next day, and you'll be like, "Well, that was easy. Why didn't I do that?"
And you know, with the songs playing, right? Because the song, whenever you die, you go back to the beginning of the level or the checkpoint or whatever. But the song, there's no like break and start over in the song. The song just continues. Now, granted, this is like Sandstorm, where the song is literally just endless of the same thing being repeated.
Yeah.
In a pleasurable way, like in a way that I actually really enjoyed it. But after like 35 minutes of hearing the same song over again, I'm like, you know what? The freaking music is just taunting me. Like it's just laughing at me at this point.
Yeah. It can get repetitive at times if you're stuck on a level, but if you fly through them, it's brilliant. It's like the best nightclub you could ever go to. Games,
Yeah.
music, but yeah, it's I think it's a key part of the game, definitely for sure. You know, and it's kind of strange because it's a very sort of modern soundtrack, but still with that sort of retro look. But it shouldn't work, but it really does.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, like I said, the game completely kicked my ass. And I remember you actually wrote me the message at one point. You're like, "Hey, I hope this game's not completely kicking your ass." And I wanted to respond with, "Oh God, it is." But I was going to kind of hold how far I've gotten, you know, from you until we talked. But yeah, even with that, even with it just completely destroying me, the music and the art style did keep bringing me back. It did make me, when I was sitting there going, okay, I need to play a little bit more of this. Okay, I know I'm gonna get my ass kicked, but you know what? I enjoy it enough. We're gonna dive back in again right now.
Yeah, one level I want to talk about in particular really was the black and white level, where it's sort of like it's kind of like a spotlight effect where you know this only a section of the level you can see that's in this white part of a black and white circle that's spinning.
Now,
Did
how
you get
far
to-
in is this?
I think it's quite early. I think.
I mean, so I don't remember that one specifically.
Yeah, but because it's swirling around, it goes pretty fast. So you can, because everything on the foreground, your platformers, your character is black. For that second that this black area goes over, you can't see a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's almost like a strobe light, and just that. I mean, the levels would probably be really repetitive if it wasn't for this background art changing the mechanics in a way as well.
Yeah. Well, and then there's a few levels where it's about moving fast enough because the level scrolls.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
really got me on one of those levels is to get from one point to another, sometimes there's these little portals. And you see
Yeah.
where you're going to spit out at. So you would have to go through a portal, it spits you out in this one spot. You'd have to jump forward and then jump backwards to get to the next portal. And you're jumping towards the screen that's coming at you. Now,
Yeah.
luckily, right before then was a checkpoint. But man, that took me a shit ton of tries.
Yeah, no, I mean that's one good thing about this game as well. The levels are really short. They if you own the level, it's seconds. But the checkpoints, I always feel they're pretty fair. There's one or two levels towards the end where there's not many of them and they're a bit spaced out. But I think it's pretty fair with the checkpoints. You know, it's bite-sized chunks of the level. So if you keep dying, it's not like it's gonna send you right back to 2 hours ago again.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I hate that when you die in a game and you're like, well, that's a good 45 minutes that I wasted.
Yeah, there's a game. I don't want to say which one it is because it's a bit of a spoiler. But right at the very end of the game, there's you know when they always do that extra. Oh, that's not the real boss. This is the real boss. It's one of those, and if you die on the second boss, it takes you right back to the level before the first boss. You have to do the level, the boss again, and it's.
Okay,
Why would anybody do that to you?
When we stop recording, you've got to tell me what game you're talking about.
Okay.
So I do want to talk before we transition into just indie games in general, which I do want to talk about some. I want to talk about the Pope level. Now you mentioned this earlier, and okay, why don't you give me your experience with the Pope level, going through it the second time, and I'm sure I'll be dying over here and agreeing with you with how not terrible in a poorly made way, but terrible in a oh my God, I died too many times way.
The Pope level kicked my ass multiple times. It's extended through like 3 levels, maybe I think. There's
Yeah.
a part where you get a different vehicle, so you're driving around in a little spaceshipy kind of thing with the lasers, which is pretty cool. You know, there's that little bit of a mix-up before.
But that part wasn't that difficult, was it? I remember that being one of the easier Pope parts.
Yeah, that was fairly not kind to you. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but then now one of the levels is one where you're going up and you have to keep making the jumps, and there's like those arrows, and you have to like land on the arrows, which I didn't realize for a long time. You don't have to hit jump when you hit those arrows. You just have to land on the arrow and it makes you jump.
Yeah, I made the same mistake as you with those, and they're not very explained as well. Which some parts of the game, like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, with the little guys telling you what happens. Some of the obstacles and things in the level, which help you out, like these little, they literally look like a little Windows 95 mouse icon, like a little tiny arrow.
Yeah.
And they are not explained, but you bounce off them. So all you do is land on them, and they take you up to the next one, and to the next one. And I made the same mistake as you in that level. I remember that one being a bit of a nightmare as well. Yeah, there's a few of those vertical scrolling levels in there, and there's a few levels as well where you'll be walking on a bit of a wonk because the camera will move around. So instead of walking from left to right, you're walking now on a diagonal, but your controls are the same and the gravity is still the same as well, which can throw a jump completely off. And I remember there's those in that level, and you think, right, I'm going to land on it. So you stop, expecting yourself to fall vertically down the screen, but instead you go like just to the left.
So, and then after that one is the one that just, I honestly did not think I was going to beat it before I spoke with you, where you got the Pope, he's shooting out rockets at you, and you have to hit those spots so that your rocket launcher guy will shoot rockets at him that still take, what, 15, 20 seconds to get to the guy? Maybe not that long. Maybe it's like 5 or 6 seconds, but it still takes a while.
Yeah, they're like homing missiles, but the stupid version of homing missiles, which can occasionally miss and go around him about 5 times before they eventually get there.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I killed the Pope. Well, this sounds so strange still saying that you killed the Pope, but there's so many times on that level where you kill the Pope, but then I've died directly after. I've managed to get through the warp point to finish the level, and that happened to me about 4 or 5 times.
Really? I never. The one time I killed the Pope, I made it straight to the end of the thing. Like I didn't have to replay after that.
That was a rage quit. That was a rage quit for me, right there.
I almost rage quitted that level, because so he shoots out like 3 missiles, and they follow you. But if you dodge them, they just loop around and follow you again. Now, what pissed me off is that you would jump from one and you would be stuck. Like you could literally get yourself stuck where there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, and also the Pope's shooting the laser down as well, isn't he? So you're really limited on where you can maneuver to as well. So sometimes it's a little bit unfair because you can get stuck in a corner because you have to avoid the laser, but then the missiles will just home straight in on you.
Yeah, and oh my god, I played that level. Now that level was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes long total. Like if you just play straight through it, I probably put an hour and a half into that level. And I honestly, I was like, I'm going to have to tell him that I didn't make it through the first world. Like, I'm going to have to tell Gary that I did not make it through the first world of this game because I could not beat the Pope. I could not take that Pope bastard down.
And I'm surprised that the Pope made it into the Nintendo version. I'm really surprised that they didn't do a character swap with a generic bad guy.
And I guess I can see the argument there with the Nintendo being so family friendly.
Yeah.
I don't see them being a Japanese company. I don't see them caring as much about the Pope as a character. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I honestly, maybe I'm wrong. Like I've been to Japan a few times. I don't know their culture well.
Yeah, well, when you consider that they've revisited stuff like Ocarina of Time and took out any symbols that were even slightly close to religious.
Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense. Just the fact that the Pope is a religious character.
Yeah,
I like his flying Pope mobile because it had the same like Pope dome that you'd expect on a Pope mobile.
The bulletproof
flying saucer.
Yeah, he's like the coolest pope in town. I mean, he bops to the music and all sorts. You know, he's the sort of pope who'd buy you a drink on a night out.
I don't know. I mean, isn't the current pope supposed to be pretty hip, like hip with the times and stuff and whatever?
Yeah, he's a Twitter user now as well, isn't he?
Is it? I don't know. I don't follow the pope on Twitter. I mean, I know our president elect, who by the time this comes out might actually be the president, is a super strong Twitter user. I didn't know the pope was. Do I need to start following the pope on Twitter?
Probably not now. It depends on your. It depends if you still got the hate from Electronic Superjoy against him.
Oh no, I forget. I took him down. I forgive him. Like he wasted. I say wasted. He took up some hours of my time, but I took him down. I mean, I'm good. I conquered the Pope.
Yeah, I should send him a tweet saying like, "Thanks for last night. It was."
If I followed the Pope and I saw him like a tweet from you that said "Thanks for last night," that would be one of the greatest moments of my life.
Right, that's my life goal from now on, John. You've given me a purpose to be on this earth now.
And he just tells you to say some Hail Marys and you're good.
Right, so I've actually got some details about this game. If you're all right with me just going through some of them.
Yeah, let's because I looked up some myself and I was perplexed a little bit. So let's talk about it.
So the game's made by Michael Todd Games, which is a small Canadian indie developer.
Now,
the game's actually
what else he's made?
I went on the site, but there's literally only Electronic Superjoy, so I kind of took it that was it.
Well, he's made 6 games. 2 of them were Electronic Superjoy, and then the other one. The other ones are I've never heard of in my life. Yeah, and now, granted, I never heard of Electronic Superjoy until recently either. So maybe they're great games. I don't know.
I think it even says on the site though that he made some games, but predominantly Electronic Superjoy somewhere in there.
Okay.
So it's actually quite an old game, really, in respect that we're talking about it now. It came out worldwide in August 2013 on Vita, PS4, Windows, Linux, and OS X.
Does anyone actually play anything on Linux?
I didn't know Linux was still a thing.
I mean, I've heard of it before.
Yeah, so to be honest, now if you say Linux to someone now, they probably think it's like a car brand or something. But the Wii U version was November of 2015, so that would have actually probably been when I played it. It says worldwide, but I'm sure the European release is probably later than that. And it's on Xbox One from January 20th, 2016, but it is coming to iOS and Android. Now, I have to warn people that if you're going to play this game, I have no idea how it's going to be, how you ever going to finish it on a mobile device. I have no idea, unless they've changed it in some sort of way where it kind of becomes an auto run. You just press jump. I can see it then.
Now, have you played many games where you have to have like a thumbstick on a mobile phone?
Yeah, you know that whole Sonic thing. Well, yeah, let's just say they're not great ports. They are not great ports. And Mega Man, I brought one of those to test it out. Let's not go there at all.
I mean, because I played there's a game called Never Alone that's got some platforming and stuff like that, and it was okay, but it's a lot more forgiving than this one. And trying to play a game like this using a virtual or touchpad thumbstick, that would be hell.
Also, I just want to point on about unpopular opinions. Just want to throw this out there, and the whole Mario Run hype.
Yeah,
Rayman did it better. Rayman was out miles before Mario Run. Rayman did it really, really well.
So I've been playing Mario Run. Yeah, I don't play it nearly as much as other people. I think I've got my money worth out of it, and I'm happy with it. Do I need to go get Rayman?
Yeah, it's free to a point. Again, it's a price model where people don't complain about. So that's always a bonus.
So I should at least try it out.
So try it out. Yeah, it looks the same as Rayman Legends. So you straight away it looks beautiful, but it's definitely worth a try. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same concept pretty much as Mario Run, except just like a couple of years before it, maybe.
Okay.
So
find this.
You know, I have it written in my notes here because I took notes. I've been a good boy and done my homework like I should have in school, and I've got in capitals. I must talk about the music, which we've already done. But the composer is ENV,
Okay.
which you know someone's serious when it's made up of three just letters.
Well, you know it's serious whenever instead of spelling out the name Envy, they just put letters that would make you eventually, once you thought about it hard enough, come up with, oh, his name is Envy.
And especially being as, I don't know if this is a thing that he, she, it, I don't know, whatever. What is? I don't know if it's in the official way that they write their name, but on the website it had E, as in a capital E, then a tiny little N, and then a capital V. So,
I mean that's hardcore right there. I mean,
that
you're in it big as a DJ when you got that name.
And by the way, for people who think I'm being sarcastic, I'm not. This is a house dance drum and bass thing. You know, anybody with that sort of setup in their name is pretty serious. So,
because I'm over here just making jokes.
Partial jokes on my behalf, but it's one of the things. You look at the back of a drum and bass CD, and you've always got somebody called, like, I was going to say Skrillex, but you know that's a given. That's not even drum and bass anyway. But it's kind of a given. You know, these people do some weird things, but they took more seriously for some strange reason. So the caption on the site, which explains Electronic Superjoy, which you sort of probably read at the beginning, says Electronic Superjoy is a brutally hard platformer. So they're being honest out the gate.
Yeah, and that's good to know going into it, I think.
Yeah, set in a world of pulse-pounding electronic music. Run, jump, smash, and fly away through 45 plus weird and different levels with low gravity, which we didn't talk about. They have low gravity sections where they don't even tell you. They put you in a level and there's nothing to do. But the background scrolls up a little bit and you press jump and you go flying.
Really?
Yeah, they're pretty good as well. You know, and then it's got world rotation, which we talked about. Giant monsters, which you wouldn't have got to because they're in the later levels, but there's some pretty big bosses as well at the end, and swarming missiles.
Are you trying to rub it in that I didn't make it to the end?
No, I'm trying to make you finish it.
Oh, I will continue this game. I just, when I'm like, man, I need to play a few levels, I will hop on and try to beat a few levels, and I will also keep you updated as this happens.
So I need to know you, because Casino, I know the answer to this because I listen to the podcast, but has it got anything to do with gambling?
No,
I'm not a gambling man in terms of money, but I do like a forfeit.
I'm all about a good gentleman's bet.
Yeah,
right?
so
I'm all for a bet where the outcome is not monetary.
Yeah.
So what do you? You seem like you're proposing something here.
I'm actually not. I really want to say let's bet, but in all fairness, we can't really prove who's finished what, and that, you know, being the other side of the world away from each other as well. But yeah, I kind of want to make a bet with you to finish this game.
Okay. Well.
Oh, and alive. I've got to add alive in there. You got to finish it alive.
Like me being alive or my character being alive?
You be alive at the end of it.
Well, you obviously know how to get in touch with me and can spam me harassment messages every 10 seconds, which go off on my watch. Yeah. So, I mean, you have a way to make sure that I continue this journey.
Every day I'm going to wake up at 7 o'clock and I'm going to send you a message just saying, have you finished it yet?
7 o'clock your time is 1 in the morning my time. Oh, man, that's going to be terrible.
No, I'm not really going to do that. But also... one thing we didn't talk about is there is multiple modes on this game, and
yeah, I didn't do any of the other ones. I keep seeing them there. What's up with those modes?
One's just like a general survive until you die sort of thing. Just a you know, puts the level in there randomly.
Okay.
And the other one, which is something about Satan's dog farting in hell, which is
I mean, what else would happen down there?
Yeah, you know, this game's humor is brilliant throughout anyway, which is kind of like just really like a Game Plus, I suppose. It's it's not. It's like a mission mode in a way. It's another set of levels, but they change the gameplay a bit more than the normal game does. This is like a very sort of Mutant Mud style, actually, where you've got a gun.
Okay.
So they're worth playing, even if you don't go back to the original game and finish it. just try that out and see what you think of that.
No, and I will.
But,
I will go back to the original game. Like, I don't know if I will ever beat it. I don't know if I'm good enough, but I will put in the effort.
There's the sequel, Groove City. The caption for that one is a giant robot stripper called Jojo has smashed Groove City. So straight away there, straight in the adult side of this game. She's angry because Dr. Swinger stole her laser nipples.
I'm so glad you're reading this.
Help Jojo reclaim her laser nipples and defeat the evil plans of Dr. Swinger with the help from Pope Boris. There's another Pope.
Wait, is it a different one or is it the same one?
I think it's a different one.
Okay. Well, all popes help strippers. I mean, that's a universal truth right there.
Oh yeah, I haven't had the best yet. His full name is Pope Boris the Super Sexy. And then there's actually a DLC package coming out, which isn't out yet, but I have no idea because the site really doesn't clarify this, what game it's for. So I have no idea if it's going to the original Electronic Superjoy or Groove City. I have no idea. But the caption for that is a bad boogie bro has stolen your only food, a giant pudding. He's probably going to do weird and kinky science to it. You got to save it. Save the Boogie Bros. Save everything. Do you has what it takes? Do you has?
Oh God! You know, when I was making this show, and I'm looking for guests and putting it out to everyone, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if anyone was going to jump on it. I didn't know who was going to jump on it. I didn't know what was going to happen. But one of the things that Sean Capri and I talked about was that, like, the thing you don't want to do in a podcast is try to be too overly professional because it just comes across funny. So I was like, man, I really hope this gets to some point where we go off on something that's making us like literally just start laughing and having this great time. And we've been having a good time throughout this whole thing, but you just hit the high point right there with that reading.
You know what, Michael Todd, I've got to give it to you, Michael Todd, for making these games. If that's how your mind works, so God help you in normal life.
I want to know what's wrong with this guy.
Robot stripper, laser nipples, and a Pope super sexy while you're shopping. You know, picking up some potatoes and chicken, and then you come up with this. It's crazy.
So
you're crazy.
There are certain things that a man would look for when going to a strip club and seeing a stripper. What do you think a robot is hoping to see at a robot strip club? Like, what part of the robot do you think just gets that robot's oil bubbling?
My opinion is different from the game developers, because according to the game developers, it's a hot, sticky mess pudding with laser nipples. But I'm fairly sure mine would be a bit different. Probably, I don't know, some wiring diagrams, big battery packs. I have no idea.
A big trunk.
Everything that Bender looks for in Futurama.
Oh God, I'm about a season and a half into Futurama, and I keep I've seen the show 100 times, but I've always heard at the beginning, and I never make it that far. I've got to finish watching that show. I love it so much. Okay. Whew. I think I've regained myself for a second. Okay. Do you have any final notes before we move to the last little question I have for you here? Do you have any final notes or thoughts or amazing things to read about Electronic Superjoy?
So I was going to, I did the animation thing. I was going to do a segment on indie games a while back, but I couldn't really find a comfortable format. And I actually wrote a review about this. And it was meant to kind of be for this goblin character that I came up with. And I'm going to try and keep it a little bit clean. But the opening, the opening line was that this game was as overlooked as a lampshade in a brothel, which which I think is incredibly true. So to anybody who hasn't seen this game, maybe I'll put some video up on the channel, or you can find some somewhere else. That Jacksepticeye guy, he does a really funny playthrough. The guy's hilarious. So because I would watch that and just play it. Especially if you like old NES games, the brutally hard ones, especially. You know, if you like the twitch controls of Mega Man, or you just really want to relive your teenage years in the 90s, going out and drinking and listening to rave music, then it's totally up your street. And even though I kind of feel like we gave it in a way a little bit of a bad name somewhat, but it's honestly, it's fantastic. I think it's one of the best, most overlooked indie games of the last generation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved it. Like it said, brutally hard. Yes, if you feel you've been a bad person that day and need to abuse yourself, this could be a good way to do it. But I absolutely loved it. And I love that opening line you use, especially after you reading the descriptions. Like you mix the descriptions of the second game with your opening line review. It's just
yeah, it's I really can't stress enough that it's so overlooked. And I hope that the franchise, I hope we see more from it, really. And like I say, I do hope that there's an easier, more accessible one, because without the swearing and the adult themes and fighting popes and all this kind of thing, there's still an amazing game, even if you strip all that out of there. But it's just really on it. Some people will never be able to play this game, and it's just because it's too hard for people. So I think there's there's really good potential with it, and I think that as we're going to go on to indie games in general, I think it's important to sort of separate the indies that are getting all the credit from some of the ones that are so overlooked. And I think this is one of those games that just everyone should have at least seen a trailer, even if you didn't play it. You should have seen something of it.
Yeah. So speaking of which, where do you stand just on indie games in general? Like, are you a indie game player? Do you just kind of get around to them when you can? I mean, what are your thoughts on indie games?
Well, when I was talking about the elitist sort of indie games, the Shovel Knights, the SteamWorld games, I would definitely put Mutant Mudds in there as well. Super Meat Boy, of course. Then there is a lot of just shovel where just thrown in there it's just utter rubbish. And I don't feel like it's unfair at all to say that. I honestly believe that there's so much trash out there, and you see trailers and you just look at it and you just think, what? Just stop a minute. You've paid to get this published on a console, and this is your final product. Is a little bit worrying sometimes. Although saying that, there is the big games out there that make the same mistakes, which I'm not going to mention any No Man's Skies. I mean, any names of games here. But it's a really strange world being in the indie market. And the one thing that I really, really hoped took off and did well was the Ouya. And no, it was a mess. And right now we've just had the Switch reveal, and the presentation was awful. And I'm not going to go on to this big thing. And if people who say it was awesome, it really wasn't. It was a bad way to show it. But the console itself looks amazing. Now, some of the gimmicky stuff in there, I want to say gimmicky because Nintendo takes it seriously, but I think the Western audience really see them as gimmicks, which is the Joy-Con motion controls and all this sort of stuff. Now, if Nintendo took the idea of the Switch, but made maybe a little bit more, took out the gimmicks, say, and took out the motion controls, took out the touchscreen, IR scanners, amiibo readers, all that sort of stuff, and made the bare bones console, which was super cheap. I think that they could definitely do, even with the Switch as it is, I think that they need a really cheap option. So maybe they should still carry on with the handheld market and make a really good indie machine, because I think that the reason I bring this presentation up as well is I think that they shafted the indies, which I think really dragged their really dragged the last few. Well, no, actually, the entire of the Wii U's life. And
Well, you say that, but one of my favorite indie games, and if you happen to hear me when I was on the Nintendo Dads, I actually added this to the top 10 Wii U games ever, right? Is Affordable Space Adventures. And
yeah, good game. Yeah.
like if you played it multiplayer.
I haven't had much of a chance to play it. I played a little tiny bit, but
Okay.
no,
That
not
game
really.
is one of the games that takes full advantage of the gimmicky stuff that's there with the Wii U. The fact the Wii U gamepad and the 2 screens and stuff like that. And it's a lot of things that like a lot of people kind of want Nintendo to go away from. And with the Switch they have, I mean, you can only usually use one screen at a time. But the thing is, like, you get these indie developers and they are more likely to look at, okay, what is the extent of this technology? Okay, what cool thing can I make and make a good game that's also cool with that technology? And that's what Nap Knock Games did whenever they made Affordable Space Adventures, because you had one person whose whole job was to look at the screen on the gamepad and to use the touchscreen and to turn stuff on and off and do whatever, and the other person was using just a regular controller driving around on the screen. So my hopes, and I don't care about motion controls, like, and I'm pretty sure with the Switch, every game that comes out that's a motion control game will also be able to be played without, right?
Yeah.
Which is what I want. Like I like the option for someone else to be able to take up, but for me, I'm not going to want them. But I'm hoping that these indie developers that have these crazy ideas will just come in there and just come up with these bizarre ideas of these games that'll just blow your mind.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I'm hoping for there.
Yeah, the thing is, I actually like motion controls. I have the unpopular opinion that Skyward Sword was a great game, with some annoying side characters in there. But the sword battling was awesome. It was just too late. If that came 2-3 years earlier, everybody would have said it was fantastic. But it was just too late, in my opinion.
Okay,
but
I have to comment on that right there.
I can see you holding something back. You're going to blow up in a minute, aren't you?
No, because I really enjoyed Skyward Sword. I enjoyed the art style of it. I loved the story. I loved the fact that we finally got the full story of how it all began. I had I had 2 issues with the motion controls. One is that often you would have to slice a certain direction.
Yeah.
And to get there, you'd have to move your hand in another direction to get it set up. And while moving your hand, you'd move it just slightly too fast and your sword would move, and then you'd get blocked and you'd get smashed.
Yeah.
So that's problem 1. Problem 2 is when I got done fighting that final fight, I was sweating. Like, I was legitimately sweating. I finally beat him. I did one of those mic drop moments with my controller, and I sat down and then I went and took a shower.
Yeah, well, I have the same issues with the game that you did as well. But there's also another issue, I think, that I'm going to add in there, which is the recalibrating the controller. Having to put it down on a flat surface so it can read that it's not off anymore. Now, it had issues, and I think that it was a bit too ambitious as well, really, with the motion controls Skyward Sword. The Switch seems a lot better than that for the motion controls. There doesn't seem to be any sensor bar or anything, and they seem to be working well. But back to the indie side of it as well, which and to sort of tie it into what you just said is also ARMS, by the way. A lot of backlash against that being a purely motion control thing, but I don't know if you saw that the news that there is actually button input as well, so you can play it without the motion controls. But that got brushed under the rug. It got totally brushed under the rug. People were complaining about the motion controls, and then as soon as I say no, you can play it with buttons, you don't hear anything.
Yeah, well, see, but that's a game I'd want to play with motion controls.
Same.
I just don't know if I want to pay $60 for it.
Yeah, that's my issue as well. But back to the indie thing, and I agree that I agree that about the affordable space adventure thing, and I think that indies don't use the gimmicks as much as they should. But the indie developers sometimes they do things better than the first party, and I think Affordable Space Adventures was one of those games where they found a use for it, for the touchscreen and gyros and everything, almost better than Nintendo did with a lot of their games. And also, Shovel Knight, the Shovel Knight amiibo was the most functional amiibo, arguably, out there.
Are you an amiibo
Yeah.
collector?
Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna make that.
I like how you say that like a beaten man.
Because the thing is, I don't have enough money to be the full collector. I'm missing so many of the Smash line, and it's mainly the characters that I thought, yeah, I'll get those later on. And can I find a Mario with a fireball in his hand now? No. But can I find a Mario sticking his hand up in the air? Yes. So I wanted to complete the Smash Brothers line, and I can't complete it now because I can't get a stupid Mario with a fireball in his hand.
I
As well as
once had
a
Mario
few
with the
others.
fire. Well, I used to have a Mario with the fireball in his hand. Now I have a Mario with only one arm. I don't know which child made that accidentally happen, but somebody ruined my Mario.
You see, I think you broke it in and blaming it on the child now. I think you were having a secret play session with the amiibos.
I'm Mario. I'm Zelda.
We all do it. We all have a Hello Kitty. An amiibo in one.
Oh God.
But
Okay.
yeah, I think moving forward, I think the indie scene is a bit of a mismatch and a bit of a mess at the minute. You've got some games there that shouldn't even exist, but then you've got games that are so overlooked, and it's because they get outshadowed by the elitist of the indie scene. And I think that moving on, I think that the big three console developers should really, look at how they're dealing with indies and give them more of a chance sometimes.
Awesome. I mean, that's one thing, with all these different Switch discussions that are going on right now with the reveal that just happened a few days ago, as of the time of this recording, and whatever. Like the big thing that I want to know, and that I'm looking forward to is how many of these indies are going to be coming to this thing, and some of them have already shown they're going to be coming, and I think they say it's easier to develop for, so it seems like a lot of them are coming. But man, I love indie games, and to be able to take some of the more, I don't know, to be able to take a larger variety of indie games on the go with me, because I'll be playing the Switch, undocked, either away from the TV or just not in my house at all, a lot. To be able to do that with indie, I will be playing so many indie games, hopefully this next year or two, or however long. So
yeah, and it's such a shame that they didn't have a reel at the announcement. It really is the fact that they just totally left the indie games in the background was, I think that with all the complaints people have over Switch and pricing and all that sort of stuff, I think I'm the level head one and I actually see where it's all coming from. However, leaving the indies out is, in my opinion, that is the biggest mistake that they could make and the biggest evil that they could do.
Yeah. All right. So we've been going for a while. Let's wrap this up. Let's start with just letting you tell people where they can find you, what you're doing.
Well, normally you won't see me because I'm lurking in the shadows, as we said at the beginning. But if you do want to find anything that I've done, it's at the Broken Block on the Twitter, and if you go to YouTube, just search Broken Block. I'll probably be like 17th down the page with like 2 likes somewhere in there. Yeah. But I'm fairly new to it all. I've not been an animator for long. I've only been doing it for like a year or two. So I'm still ironing kinks out and getting feedback and all sorts of things. But it's really community based what I'm doing at the moment. So if there's anyone out there who wants to, who even just has an idea for something or wants to put their voice to one of the characters or write something, I'll work with anyone, literally anyone out there who wants to. I really wanted the idea of this to be a big community thing. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Make sure you go check that out. I've watched all of your videos, I believe. There's definitely some just amazing ones. Your new ones with your Honest Goblin, like I said, had me laughing pretty good. Your animation of Sean Capri had me laughing just because I've talked to Sean so many times. It's just a lot of good stuff. Check it out. I know there's more projects to come that I am very excited about. Check them on Twitter. Check them out on YouTube. and have a good time there. For me personally, you can find me at Johnny_Casino. There's no H in that Johnny, so just Johnny_Casino. Hit me up if you have ideas for, indie games to play, or if you want to be a guest on the show. I'm going to do it once a month, mostly because I cannot play a brand new indie game with everything else I'm doing every single week. Hit me up on here, hit me there, leave me a message. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have input. This is going to be on iTunes, Google Play, some other places possibly. Give us a nice little rating. This show, along with every other show I do, is brought to you by Dayspace Podcast Network, which is at dayspace.com. You go there, you can find a plethora of different shows, many of them video game or nerd culture related, but not all of them. Go there. There's basically something for everyone, or at least everyone who would be listening to this. You can also support this show and every other show on dayspace.com through Patreon, which I believe is patreon.com/dayspace. Sounds right. DACESPACE. I think I said that right. So for as little as $1 a day, or sorry, that'd be terrible. For a little $1 a month, which I figured out to be like getting rid of one cup of coffee from Starbucks, like, I don't know, every 5 months. You can support this show and all the other shows on the network and help us grow and make them better. So that's what you can do. Next month, the game for next month, I decided I'd let you in on this, is going to be Three Souls. So if you want to participate in our conversation, you can always write into me about it. But also, if you just want to be able to understand what it is we're talking about, Three Souls is a game we're playing next month. I want to say it's like $2, maybe $4 if it's not on sale anymore on the Wii U and I don't know, maybe some other places. It's only like a 2 or 3 hour game. Get into it, have fun. We're going to be talking about next month with my next guest. And until then, I will talk to you later.
Catch